Hello again. It's Wednesday the 15th of March, and once again I want to show you some of the stuff that I found at some flea markets and car boot sales around Scotland. And I've been again just today, so I've got a few pieces. But the stuff that I'm going to show you today is just stuff that I found in the last month or so from here, there, and everywhere, really. So I'll just start off with the knives, since most of my subscribers do actually subscribe and watch for the knives, and the rest is just going to be various old tools. I've also got an oil stone here, I'm sure you can see that. I bought a pair of Knipex pliers and a few other bits and bobs that a knife collector and knife lover may also appreciate and enjoy. So maybe stick around. So I'll just start off with these two because this is probably some of the best of the lot. These were bought at a flea market in Edinburgh about 3 or so weeks ago, and I think I got a pretty good price on them, especially considering this one is almost brand new. Now, the guy had £15 each. I'm pretty sure this has still got a price on it, yeah. £15 each for these knives, but he took £20 for the pair, so I think that's a pretty good deal actually. These are, I think it's pronounced Mikov. They're made in Czechoslovakia, so that'll give you an idea of how old they could potentially be, since Czechoslovakia doesn't really exist anymore. You can see there on the tang. I don't think I'm going to include any photos on this because I don't really want to do any editing. I just want to film it and upload it, so if I make any mistakes, well, it is what it is. Now that blade looks pretty much unused. I'm sure it's probably used a little bit, but it doesn't look like it's been sharpened, and the condition is pretty impeccable, especially when you consider its age, come to think about it. And sadly it is a lock knife, so I can't carry it legally without a good reason. That's a shame, but yeah, as a lock back. Blade is less than 3 inches though. Other tools, I think this one's a bit of a nail breaker. Yeah, I'm not going to fight with that, but that's just a bottle opener with a screwdriver. Oh, that's a nail breaker as well. And that's just a tin opener. Probably should have came a bit better prepared for this. The only other tool on this is just a corkscrew. There's no bradawl or saw or anything else on it. Now, I'm not sure if that's genuine stag. At the time when I bought it, I thought it was. I'm wondering if it might be plastic. I hope it was genuine stag. Now, I had to look at Mikov's website, and these are about €300 new. I assume that's the ones with the stag. So if I was to guess, well, I'd like to say if a stag one is 300, I would assume one without stag would probably be about 200. I'm not really sure. If you have any idea what this is really worth or what it would cost you to buy it, please let me know. The second one, this is the leather sheath that came with it. It's actually got the original owner's name on it, which I can't quite make out. And his initials are also, I think they're actually burnt into the scales. And again, I don't know if that's real stag. This one looks like it's more likely to be real stag. If it's not, I'm fairly convinced. But to be honest, I've only got 2 or 3 knives that are stag. This one isn't so much of a nail breaker. It's also a lock back. It's a very similar model, but this one looks like it's more of a hunting knife, where the other one just looks a bit general purpose. Now this one, on the other hand, has been quite well worn. I think this would have started its life as a clip point. Well, it is still a clip point, but a very worn one at that. And it's also a Mikov of Czechoslovakia, but that Czechoslovakia there is a bit more worn off. Middle tool here, if I can find a nail nick, is what I believe to be a gut hook, which is why I'm saying it's more of a hunting knife. That does not lock, and again, that looks not too worn actually, but it does look like it has been used a bit. And the final tool is, am I on the right side? Here. A wood saw, which is definitely well used. It's a little bit sharp, it's got a bit of a bite to it. I might try and clean it up, and I may resharpen it. I'm pretty sure you probably could resharpen it. The traditional way of sharpening a saw, like a handsaw, is just with a file. So I might try filing it. I've actually heard of some people, I think it was I think Mark Kaufman said something about he sharpened his Victorinox saw just on an oil stone. That's actually not the right way to do it. If that works for you, then go ahead. But assuming these teeth aren't impulse hardened, which I don't think they actually are, you can sharpen it with a file. So I might try doing that, and that's a hobby of mine, is trying to repair old tools. And I have been sharpening old hand saws, tenon saws, gent saws, rip saws, whatever. So I might give that a go. And again, we've got a corkscrew, and I'm sure I've mentioned that is a lock back. So love to know your thoughts on that. I think that's a bargain at £20 for the pair, especially if they are costing like 300 new. So I'll put them to the side. I've got two other knives here. We'll go with this one first. No, we'll go with this one. Now, I didn't actually buy this one. My granddad he gave it to me the other day. I was just in his house, and he just jumped out of his chair and went, "I've got something for you." Went into his spare room, came back with this. No idea where he got it or what he used it for or what, but I've got a feeling it probably just sat in a drawer since forever, and he just decided to give it to me because he knows I love knives. So this one is just a small two-bladed penknife, which is very worn out. That's just one of those knives that will just disappear in your pocket, very non-threatening for the average sheep. You probably can't see that, nope, but it is indeed a Richards. I'll see if I can focus that actually, there's a better idea. There you go, that's better. And while I'm at it, I'll just show you. I think this is an advert knife. Valentine. In fact, if I was clever, I should have zoomed in on the Mikov knife. I'll just do that just quickly, just for a wee second. So you can see it is Mikov. Czechoslovakia. And the other one says pretty much the same thing, but I think the other one's actually a bit older. Right, last and final knife right here. That cost me 50p at the flea market, which a little penknife for 50p, well, you're never going to see Scotsmen pass that up unless it's in really bad condition or it's Chinese. This one is a little Sheffield knife. I've got a couple of these advert knives and I do quite like them. I mean, I can't say I've got any love for anything like Roundup in the slightest. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of those things you spray to kill pests or something like that. I don't like that kind of thing myself. I wouldn't want to use anything like that. There's a tang stamp if you're interested. I think it just says stainless Sheffield. And I don't remember if there's any marks on the other blade. Oh, this is going to be a nail breaker as well. Yep, I'm not fighting with that. And curiously, this one's got some file work on the back, which is something I've actually never seen on an old penknife before. Quite good for 50p. Right, what else shall we go to? If there's any knife lovers still here, I've got something that's sort of axe related, and that's this thing. And the reason it's axe related, it's not a wedge to hold the axe in. It's a wedge, but I'm not really sure what it's for, and I'll just zoom in for you. That's why I bought it. Braids, which some of you may know, makes things like axes, bill hooks, garden slashers, that sort of thing. They also made hammers and what was the other thing? Well, they made spades and forks, and Braids tools are highly sought after. Personally, I've got a couple of Braids hammers. In fact, I've got a small, I think it's like a 3.5 ounce pin hammer. That thing's fantastic. I absolutely love it, and I only paid 50p for it. Got a Braids club hammer. Anyway, so this one here, as you can see, has the broad arrow, and it's dated 1961. I'll just get something to point at just in case you can't see it. Right there, there's a broad arrow. 1961. And I think that's a NATO stock number, because I have actually posted this on Facebook and someone did look it up. So I think that's what that is. Now, I didn't buy it because I've got any use for it. The only reason I bought it was because it says Braids and it was dated, and I'm not actually sure what these wedges are for. I've got another few, and I've seen others of various shapes and sizes, and I'm not really sure what it's for. I actually asked the guy who sold me this the other day what he thought it was for, and he just said just lifting things up. My dad thought it might be for sash windows. I kind of wonder if it's just for like lifting up machinery or stuff like that, or whatever. I've really no idea. I probably spent too much time on this thing, but I really am curious. I really don't know what it's for. But it's not for a hammer or axe handle, I'm sure of that, and it's obviously way too small to be a wood splitting wedge or a felling wedge. Well, you wouldn't use steel for a felling wedge anyway. And it's been filed at the top, so I'm puzzled as to what this actually is, the true purpose. If you want to look that number up or anything and tell me more about it, you're more than welcome. But we'll just move on. And where shall we go to from here? Right, let's just go to this because I'm still mind blown. So last Saturday, my dad and I went to our usual flea market that we like to visit, and my dad found a box of tools, and this was in it, as was this. Now, just before I continue, why not take a guess what this thing is, because I was puzzled when I first seen it. And at first the guy said that box of tools isn't for sale yet, but he was going to be selling it soon. So when I went back today, and I actually went to get this thing because I seen it last week and I forgot to buy it, it was actually because my dad called me over to show me this stuff. So I went and asked the guy today, and I said to him, would you take £5 for the pair? Which I usually don't just make an offer to a seller. I ask, what do you want for it? And I'll try to talk them down. But in this instance, I just thought, this guy actually sort of knows what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure he's going to do his research. I'm just going to offer him what I'm willing to pay. And well, here we are, he accepted it. So it probably doesn't look that big on camera, but my God, these are massive. This is probably the biggest pair of scissors I've ever seen. Well, actually, I have seen one pair that's like double the size of this. But this is a substantial pair of scissors. If I'm not mistaken, these are dressmaker scissors, so that'll be why. It's not like an everyday pair of scissors. And again, I'm including this because I've got a newfound appreciation for like anything Sheffield made. Any old British tool. And this is indeed, in fact, I'll just zoom in. This is indeed Sheffield made. Now, there's... I was going to say, there is another bit of writing there, and I'm not sure what it is. It just says England. And as far as I'm aware, there's no other markings. Which is a pity. So that was essentially £2.50 for that. And the guy actually did say these are probably worth about at least 15 quid. And I actually happen to agree. It's probably worth more than that. And they really don't make them like they used to. They really don't. This thing feels absolute quality, and my God, is it heavy. I mean, for a pair of scissors. Just listen to that. In fact, I'll just quickly zoom in again. I want to show you something. Look at that cutting edge. I don't know about you, but in my opinion, that looks like it's never actually been sharpened. Other than in the factory, that is. I don't think someone sharpened that. And the correct way to sharpen a pair of scissors is with a file. That looks like it's either been done on a stone, as in, sorry, a grinding stone, a grinding wheel, or a belt sander. So that's probably the factory edge, and it's still sharp. That's amazing, honestly. That'll go nicely with an old Singer sewing machine I bought just before Christmas at the auction. By the way, I've got two of those. If anyone's interested in seeing that, let me know, because, well, I'm not someone that's going to do any sewing, but I think it's just awesome just to have an old piece of machinery like that. And it's the old hand cranked one as well. And I believe it's made in Scotland. At least one of the two is. Right, have you had a little think about what the hell this thing is? Because I was puzzled at first. Well, it turns out it's for leather. It's a leather stretcher. So I don't know how you would use this, but I would assume you just grab the leather and pull. And that looks like it's a hammer face, and it's certainly been used as one. So I had a look online, and to buy a brand new pair of leather pliers from a company like CS Osborne, which is made in America, is over £100, and I would imagine if you were to buy these online you'd probably be spending at least £15. So I think £2.50 for that is pretty damn good. And it wasn't until I actually bought it and had a look later on, what a bonus, it's military issue. We've got the broad arrow and 1951, and I can't quite make out what that says. It looks like it says Highgate. And I think I actually spotted another broad arrow just a minute ago. Oh yeah, I did. I didn't see that at first either. So that's a bonus. Might as well give you a close-up look at the jaws here. I've never seen anything like this before, but anytime I can, I suppose I like to buy stuff like this. This has went on a really long time, and I'm not even halfway through. I'll be surprised if anyone sticks around this long. Just get something boring out of the way. Coat and saw blades, 10-pack, £1. I think these are actually made in England. At least the packet says printed in England. Just get that out of the way. That's just one that I got today. This one I got a few weeks ago. It's just an old Squire made in England padlock. I've got a brass one on one of my toolboxes in the shed. I think these are actually possibly still made in England as well. Squire's still going. Works perfectly fine, and at the time I paid about £1 for that, I think. Really happy with that. I'll try and make a point of buying more of them just because they're nice to have. Right, this is something that I quite enjoy, but it's rather useless to me. This is an old Britool socket set, and it's Whitworth, but it's a complete set and I only paid a £5 for it. I'm probably never going to need this, but I really do like Britool ratchets and socketry, so I wasn't leaving it. But I'll just pull out one at random. These really do feel well made though. It's all matching, nothing's missing as far as I can tell. And it's the old hex drive. And it's got the really old school ratchet where it doesn't have, you can't change direction, you've got to flip it over. And it works perfectly fine. British Britool. The parts to actually use it are here, and as a bonus it's got an adapter so you can actually use modern half-inch sockets, although the ball joint is kind of missing, which is a shame, so it kind of falls out, but at least it can be used with modern sockets. I kind of hope to find one of these ratchets just by themselves so I can throw it in my socket box and maybe use it just for the fun of it, just because I enjoy it. I've got more than enough ratchets, and I'm not even like the mechanic type person. I'm just a wood butcher essentially. I just like to mess around in the shed and make things out of wood. Not waste your time by trying to put that away. Another thing that's quick and boring. I wanted this because, well, they're a bit of a nuisance to find, and new ones are bloody expensive. You'll pay about 50 quid for a new one of these. On Etsy. Paid £1.50 for this, and the guy had a load of chisels in it. In fact, I've got one of them here, and I just said, will you sell me just this chisel, because this is the only decent one, and this is quite a nice one. Maybe not a nice one, but it's certainly a good one. Just quickly zoom in there. William Marples. So I'm sure a lot of you realise that's definitely a really good high quality chisel. It's a nice thick one as well, that's why I bought it. So I paid £1.50 for that, and £1.50 for this, and it's proper canvas, so it's made to last. There is one hole in it, but that doesn't really matter too much, and it's actually not for chisels either. This is for augers for the braces, and I've got more than enough augers, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but I try to get them whenever I can. Another thing is quick and simple. Picked this up today, bought that from the same person as the chisel and the tool roll, and I paid £1.50 for this. That's more than I would usually pay. I like to pay about 50p for these, but straight away I could see that it was dated with a broad arrow, so I thought, well, I'll just have it. Don't have to do too much work to clean it up. Always handy to have them, they're good for using on a lathe. Where to next? Here's something that some of you may enjoy. Pair of Knipex pliers. They don't look that old, and they're clearly not that well used. In fact, I'll just zoom in. Look at the jaws on that. How much do you think I paid for that? I bought that, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. It's not misaligned either. Knipex is pricey, as you know. Well, I paid a grand total of £1. I know that was a total rip-off, right? I should go and get my money back. Yeah, that's pretty incredible, I feel. £1 for that, absolute bargain. You'll never see me leaving a pair of Knipex left behind if they only want £1 or so. I think I've got about 7 pairs of Knipex, 7 or 8 even pairs of Knipex pliers, and almost all of them were bought at second hand, less than £1. I've only got one that I bought brand new. Maybe I'll do a video on my Knipex stuff one day, just because I know a lot of people actually quite like Knipex, and it took me a while to see just how great they are, and I'm kind of converted now. I really do like Knipex. While I was at it, I also got this. Bacco, Sweden. I don't know if they're made in Sweden though. I can't actually quite tell. Oh, okay, in France. I wasn't quite sure because I couldn't quite see that, because that's just etched on, it's not stamped. So it's made in France, so that's fine. I would have preferred it be made in Sweden, but it's still made in Europe, and I only paid £1 for that. And they don't have any serrations on it, so that's just flat, so that's good for fine stuff. Again, £1 for that, nothing wrong with them. Jaws look good. I think that's pretty good. Not that Scotsman needs any more pliers, because I've got bloody loads. I can't help myself. I just enjoy buying these old tools. This thing, the reason I went to the car boot sale today, or the flea market I should say. Who wants to have a guess what that is? It's a thread file, and I only discovered this was a thing maybe a month or so ago, and when I went to the flea market the other day, I seen it and thought, oh, I'm going to have that. And like I said, my dad phoned me to show me the leather working pliers and the shears, and I forgot to go back and buy this. So I cycled to go and buy it today for £2. I think that's not bad. I don't know if I can do wood screws. I'm sure it's probably just for machine screws, although I do have a wood screw here, and I can't quite remember what size it was. This is obviously just an old Imperial wood screw, mind you. But I think I'll zoom in. This is going to be a bit awkward. Maybe it was that one. Well, anyway, that's for repairing the threads on your screws. I actually had a look to see if I can find this company, and they're still going, and I think some of their stuff maybe, don't quote me on this, might still be made in England. Not found anything to suggest that they've moved to China. That'd be great if they're still producing tools in England. Another one from the Edinburgh flea market a few weeks ago. A Northern India oilstone. Lady wanted £2 for this, and I managed to talk her down to £1. Always worth buying oilstones, especially small double-sided one like this. These are great for sharpening your pocket knife or your little hunting knife. I wouldn't use this for a chisel, it's way too small. I mean, you could, but I've got think it's a carborundum and a Welsh slate on my bench for my chisels. That's pretty good. We've only got a couple more items here. Where shall we go to next? I suppose this is getting progressively more boring. So, fair enough if anyone doesn't want to stick around. This was something I bought on Saturday at a collector's fair, which was kind of, well, it wasn't crap, but it wasn't great. Horn. Because I'm sick of everything being plastic and I would like more natural materials, and I did want a couple of, or at least a horn spoon. And to buy a new one on Etsy, probably about £10–15, so I got these for £2 each. And I think they're quite nice, especially this one. So that's one for me and one for the girlfriend, and she claimed the nicer one because of course she did. Whatever, just glad she likes it too. Right, this. I would really like to know, well, first of all, if you've made it this far, how does this look? Because when I bought this, I bought it at the same time as the Knipex pliers and a little braids thing, and the handle wasn't with it, it was just the shank. I made the handle myself. I turned it on my lathe and I flattened it. So this type of screwdriver is called a London pattern cabinet maker's turn screw. I've never tried to make a handle like this before, and I think it came out okay. Now I did do a bad job of the brass because it doesn't quite fit. I mean, this brass pipe is actually a little bit too wide, so it doesn't matter how much time I spent on it, it was never going to fit. And this was just a practice run anyway, so if you would like to tell me how that actually looks, that'd be nice. Now I did try to film this, film me making this, because some people have actually said, do you do videos of tool restorations, or at least do I restore the tools? And I do restore them, and I did try to put the video together, so I'll see about releasing that. I have to edit it all together and I'm not looking forward to that. I've only got 2 more things and they're probably quite boring for a lot of people, but maybe you like it. Another thing my granddad gave me a few weeks ago, an old 4-fold drill, boxwood and brass. This one's good because it's actually metric and imperial, whereas a lot of the ones that I've seen, at least the ones that I own, are just imperial. Shame it's a bit worn, you can still kind of use it. Funny, because when he first gave it to me I thought it said made in England, but it doesn't. Made in Holland. And the last thing is something I bought today, and this really was good. An old Footrow. Made in England, Rayborn Chesterman. And it's metric, and look at that. Still in the original packet. And I only paid £1 for that. I'm not keeping that though, I'm giving it to my friend. He was needing one. So that's pretty much everything done. I hope you found that somewhat entertaining. If you've made it half an hour, I'm sure you must have got something out of it at least. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If there's anything else you'd like to see, please let me know. If you're interested in old tools, tell me. If you only came for the knives, tell me. What do you think? £1 for a pair of Knipex, pretty good, right? Anyway, that's just under half an hour, way too long. Sorry about that. I'll see you later. Thanks.